Good evening, everybody, and welcome to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my crazy cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin. What's up, cuz? How you doing? I am enjoying the weather today here in beautiful southeastern Wisconsin. I had a perfect shot set up, and 30 seconds before we went on the air, the sun came out of the cloud, so I had to readjust my camera angle so I would be Shadow Man on tonight's show.
See, I know what the real problem is. The man upstairs doesn't like the way you came on the show. You come on the show with the hat, love the hat. I love that.
Yeah. Gotta love my Bears. You know
What shirt is that? Our colors are not green and orange and white. That can't. No, please don't tell me that's a Miami Dolphin shirt. Do not tell me that's a Miami Dolphin shirt.
This is my side piece team, the Miami Dolphins. So because the NFL draft is this week, so I have to watch and see what both of my loves do. What will the Bears do in the draft, and what will my side piece team do in the draft? Because my side piece team got different needs than the Bears. So
I done threw my hat. Jason.
Yes.
My auntie rests in heaven. She'd be so disappointed in you. My auntie would be so disappointed in you. Never once did she waver from her team. If I'm not mistaken. Never once. Aunt Verb, Aunt Bernice. Aunt Bernice would be disappointed in you too. I'm not going to bring up your uncle. Your uncle. You know what your uncle would say to you. Your uncle wouldn't be so kind to you. And I'm not talking about Uncle James either.
Yeah. I mean,
all I'm talking about.
I know. My Uncle Mac would be mad. Uncle JC would be mad. They'd all be pretty much.
I forgot about Uncle JC. Uncle JC would smoke cigarettes. He would have stopped smoking his cigarettes if you would have walked in the TV room wearing that stuff. I almost said another word. I almost did say stuff. But lucky I don't curse. Like, are you trying to jinx my draft?
No, I want both teams to do well. I think the Bears have got significant needs, and hopefully they'll be addressed. And, my backup plan is the Miami Dolphins, who are up and coming team, who have a very diverse ownership group. And I like their colors. So, and I love Miami. That's my favorite city other than Chicago in the United States.
I'm still confused. Like, does your side piece team need a quarterback?
No, we got Tua. Why do y'all want him? what you offering?
Now we want to rub it in. I'm sitting there hoping we maybe trade up. Maybe we could get Fields or somebody. I don't know. Maybe
we'll see.
I'm hoping we could trade up.
We'll see.
I don't know, but you gonna jinx us. I got 15 quarterbacks, 10 running backs. The whole front office is African American. Y'all got sunlight in Miami all day, every day.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when you gonna take your cousin to Miami with you?
I don't know. Maybe we'll go for the Bears game when they play them. I think it's next year they play Miami. We'll see. But anyway, let's welcome everybody. Everybody, welcome to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin. If you're watching us on YouTube Live, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on the SportsZone Chicago app, we appreciate that. And you can get the app in 3 different places. You can get it from the Amazon store. You can get it from the Google store, and you can get it from where else?
You know what? I think it's the iTunes store.
You got it right, Lance. Yes, very good, Lance. You can get it from the iTunes store. So you can download that app at SportsZone Chicago. Go ahead and download that app, and you'll have access to all our stores. And we got a great show coming up for you guys tonight. At 7 o'clock, we've already touched on a little bit. It is NFL draft week. The draft will be taking place on Thursday night is when the first round picks will be taking place. In addition to NFL draft coverage, we're going to talk that with Ken Davis. He's coming up at 7 o'clock. But boy, do we have a lot of stuff to talk about just on the show. Remember Joseph Phillips from the Chicago Crusader. He'll be joining us at 6:15 p.m. And we're also going to talk about the Bulls and their fight to try to get in the playoffs. We got to talk about the Blackhawks, their fight to get in the playoffs. We're going to talk a little Cubs and a little White Sox as well, as both teams are in action. The Sox are off tonight. I think the Cubs might be in action. And then we got to talk about a big knockout that took place over the weekend in UFC and just a lot of other stuff. The Chicago Sky started training camp. So we got a lot to discuss.
You know how your body just get chills? You hit that man so hard, my body still got chills. I was halfway asleep. I waited till late. I was halfway asleep. Paula's brother Derek was over the house, and I just heard Oh, and I saw the look on Bricky's face. What? He got knocked up.
So let's go ahead and talk about that because we have photographs of the big knockout that took place over the weekend. UFC. I'm not a big UFC fan. It is really kind of almost too violent for me to watch. But there are certain circumstances where I won't tune in. And so this guy, Jorge, is it pronounced Jorge or George? I can't remember. Is it Jorge? I think it might be Jorge.
It's Jorge.
Yeah, Jorge. Jorge Masvidal had been talking bad stuff leading up to this fight. Bad stuff. And so they get to the second round, and all of a sudden, this happens.
Hey, Jay, you gotta see it.
And then,
you have to see it.
And then
hey, Ivan,
we have to show him the impending result too, Ivan. What was the result of that punch?
He spun him around. You know, it was something to see. I'll just say that it was something to see live. It was
he was like, listen, I'm like, come on, man. I can't. He was talking so reckless, kind of like how your cousin Nick Irvin talked through the game. Like nigga talking makes you feel bad. And just, but have you ever been to a?
I have not been. I have not been to a UFC fight. That is one sport I have not been to. I don't have any plans on going anytime soon.
I can't believe you haven't been to
boxing. Boxing in itself is violence, but these dudes are just off the chain on a whole nother level violence because they're kicking. I mean, a guy broke his leg this weekend too, kicking somebody. So I mean, I don't know if I want to see that up close and personal.
Have I ever told you about the time I went?
And no, please do.
Hey Jay, now I go with your cousin Nick. Once again, Nick talking reckless, and Melvin Eli. We out in Vegas. Nick working out the NBA players, Jermaine O'Neal, Chauncey Billups, and everybody. So Nick and Melvin Eli holler out, man, big bro, we going to the fight. I said, man, what fight we going to? UFC. I said, huh? They said, no, this everybody first time going. So Melvin Eli bust out, who's a friend of the show. I got us front row tickets. I said, front row. I said, front row.
Oh.
So we got front row. So Jay, I'm sitting in the front row, popcorn, you know, they bringing out everything, girls with the cars. So I'm like chilling, we in the front row. So I'm sitting there, right? You know, they got the cage up. So I'm sitting there watching, you know, fight, go kicking, hit elbow right. Then all of a sudden, Jay, out of nowhere, a guy got kicked in the face and started stumbling. The fighter comes across the face with the elbow. Tack. The dude's nose exploded. Blood started coming our way. I'm not ready. So I move my face out the way. The blood misses me. It misses Nick. The guy's on the ground. His nose is split wide open. Jay, you can see the bone in his nose.
Oh,
it was so like blood everywhere. Jay, the man's nose is just split. Jay, I can't split open. He on the ground, blood just everywhere.
Now, why do you want me to go see this?
I mean, you have to go. You just have to go see it. I mean, Jay, I have a newfound respect. After I left that fight, I said, the people that do that, God bless their souls, because you have to be crazy. I mean, Jay, for your nose to just be split, you get kicked in the face, first of all.
It's
the elbow.
I'm surprised more of them don't die. And I'm being dead serious. I mean, I know they've had deaths, and I know boxing has had deaths, but I don't know how these men and women who do that sport are not dying. I'm surprised they don't have a death of week, because they are kicking, they are using knees, they are using elbows, they are using Aikido holds. They put you in submission holds. It is just, I mean, it's a little too much for me, Lance. You know, I'll watch a little bit. But
that's so gruesome. I mean, the guy was just laying there. They had the ambulance come, people come, you know, the paramedics come to take him out the arena. I was like, this is crazy.
Oh, wow.
You have to go experience though.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna take a lot for y'all to talk me into that one, but we'll see. We'll see.
Let's get 'em.
Speaking of brutality, the Chicago Bulls. Let's talk about them. Oh boy, they are currently not in the playoffs. After kind of hanging on to the 9th and 8th spot all year. They've been teetering a lot, but it just seems like lately they have been struggling. They lost to Miami the other night down there in Miami, and they just think they're about to tip off again down there in the Sunshine State. But the Bulls, they got now 2 teams in front of them, so they can get to that 9th spot. And remember, the 9th spot this year is a play-in spot.
Mm-hmm.
So just what have been your thoughts on our Chicago Bulls right now? I'm actually disappointed because I thought they had a good enough team to be like a 6 or 7 seed, and it doesn't look like they may even make the playoffs.
I mean, we can keep talking about chemistry, but I think that trade was made over like a month ago. And the problem is the Washington Wizards, who are ahead of the Bulls, they have won 7 straight. Russell is really starting to take over. Him and Bradley Beal got it figured out now. So the Bulls, the chemistry hasn't been the same since they got Vooch, to me, when I'm watching. And I think Billy Donovan alluded to that in his press conference a couple of days ago. They just haven't been playing well. They've been inconsistent. Their defense has always been inconsistent. And the sad part, another part about that trade they made, if you really look at it, they traded Daniel Gafford, right? Daniel Gafford has been balling. I think he's been getting like 13 a game since he's been gone. Wendell Carter averaging the career best, like 15 points a game. So the people they traded are really playing well, and we sitting here inconsistent. I think they're like 22 and 33. I'm not sure we're gonna make the playoffs. I don't mean we. I'm not sure they're gonna make the playoffs.
I don't think they're gonna make it either because their schedule, they're not playing no bum teams.
Nope.
They playing some pretty good teams here coming down the stretch here. I think they got 12 games left, and 9 of the 12 against teams above 500. And I just think they're in a really bad spot, and I'm really disappointed in them. I really thought the Bulls were going to do more this year. But I agree with you. Their chemistry just seems to be off. I don't think Kobe White has ever been able to really get his footing on this season. He's just been kind of all over the place. And, Zach has been Zach. Zach has come out, and a couple of the other players, Patrick Williams, I think, he's a rookie. He's going to only get better, but I think they put a lot on him. But they definitely show faith in him, moving him to the starting lineup, what they did. But, it's a grind for him. He's a rookie. He hadn't played this many games before. I mean, last year he was just a freshman in college, for the love of God. So I just don't think his body is ready yet to handle the full rigor of a full NBA season. But, I think, they've all done a decent job. But right now they're struggling. And I just don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, and that's going to be really disappointing. But stranger things have happened. We'll see what happens as they keep playing these games.
And you touched on a great point. I think we said on the show about a month ago, they last 30 games. We said they was running to the gauntlet. They had to play Miami like 3 or 4 times. They had to play Philly 3 or 4 times. They had to play Toronto 3 or 4 times. They had to play the Bucks. So they schedule in the early on was okay. Not coming down the stretch, they playing teams with over 500 records and stuff. Not starting the show, but hopefully they could pick it up. But that's awfully tough. And they, like you said, they play Miami again tonight,
and then they got to play Milwaukee on Friday. And they got
come on.
You got to play Milwaukee on Friday. You got the Knicks, the much improved Knicks, who
the Knicks have won 9 straight. Derrick Rose is hooping.
They the hot, I think Derrick Rose and Thibodeau, they got back together. They went back to 2003 or whatever, and they are out there. I mean,
they're animal balling, Julius Randle. I mean, like you said, they go to the Knicks. Man, Jay, that's tough.
Yeah, they got to go to New York on Wednesday. Then they're at home. They play the Bucks on Friday. Okay, and then who you get after that? The next day you got to go to Atlanta. So you got a back-to-back against the Bucks at home, but then you got to fly to Atlanta and play the Hawks there. And then you got to play the 76ers after Atlanta. So, they have put themselves behind the 8 ball. They're in trouble. They did it to themselves. And, my hope is that, with them being such a young team, they're going to learn from this going forward. But, I mean, dude, come on. Y'all got to do better than this, man. And it's just been inconsistencies throughout the season with this team.
Yes, it has, and they defense, they defense has to get better. It's only 12 games left, so now's the time when your defense needs to step up. You have to pressure the basketball. They've been taking care of the ball okay. When we looked at their offensive efficiency numbers,
Mm-hmm.
they haven't been bad. It's just
Mm-hmm.
their defense doesn't come every night, and they need it to come because, like you said, these games coming quick. You playing against 500 or above teams, and you have two All Stars. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see what they do.
Yeah, let's see what they do. We'll have to see. But right now it's not looking good, and that schedule is not doing them no favor. So we'll
At
see.
all.
Stranger things have happened. Stranger things happen. So let's go on to another topic. Some more good news, as I will say it. We last left our show. We were in the middle of the trial, the Derek Chauvin trial for the murder of George Floyd, and we were off last week. We were kind of anticipating things were going to come to a conclusion, and they did. And the good news is Derek Chauvin was found guilty, and he is currently incarcerated, awaiting sentencing. His bond was revoked. He was found guilty on all 3 counts of his role in the death of George Floyd, and he's facing some serious time. And not only was what he did egregious enough, but this became politicized, and you had people like my man who's 90 years old, Pat Robertson, the minister, coming out saying he should be in jail. And that guy is the most pro law enforcement person I know. And he was like, this guy is terrible. He's a disgrace for the police. So, the thing became political too. So, I think that type of pressure is what led to what we saw take place. And, we're waiting his sentencing, which will take place in about 7 weeks from here. And, this case related to the sports world in a big way last year in May. We were already in the middle of the pandemic, and then this situation happened in May, and the sports teams were, starting to come back and play a little bit, and there were protests all over the world. And, it really was a jump off for a lot of social justice initiatives in this country, including this show. It was one of the reasons why we started this show in July of 2020. And, it's we got a long way to go to get some reform in this nation, but, we've gotten it started. So just what are some of your thoughts there?
Jay, you happy that he was convicted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you just said something too. You see all the protests we had to do. Everybody was protesting. My thing is that what we have to do to get the verdict that was right and a justifiable verdict, right? You watching on video, we had his knee on his neck for 8-9 minutes, right? What more do you need to see? What
Mm-hmm.
more do you really need to see? Like, is this like the start of people getting their just due, right? Or is this a thing where, due to the fact it was so much pressure, they gave the people the verdict that they thought that we wanted, right? So
Yeah.
that's one thing. And from a journalistic standpoint, that's why I'm happy you were saying what you were saying and doing all the things that you had to do. But what about the other ones, like Sandra Bland? What
Yeah.
about some of those cases that was basically cut and dry? Like,
Yeah.
we still get shot at a quicker rate. I think I heard something where since 2010, it's been 127 African American deaths at the hand of police officers.
I
Right?
mean, it's a dicey situation,
Mm-hmm.
and what I do is I look at each individual situation just as that, an individual situation, because the officers are not always wrong, the
Mm-hmm.
officers are not always right. Sometimes it's malicious intent, sometimes it's an accident, sometimes it's a combination of a whole bunch of other stuff. But what we do know is that we have to. Uh, there's an average of 3 killings by law enforcement in this country every day,
Mm-hmm.
every single day, and not all those victims are African American. And the truth is, most of the victims are white. That's the facts of the matter. But it's still too much. There needs to be some better interaction between the community and law enforcement, and it takes both sides to work on that. And I'm just again fearful for the country right now because everybody just seems to be mad at everybody. And I can't
No, you're
understand why.
right.
I'm trying to figure out why are we all mad at everybody. It's so Like you can't even figure out who's on whose team because everybody is mad at everybody.
And where's the love at, right? I
Right.
mean, if you look at from like the House and the Senate, it never seemed like they could work hand in hand. Like we just gonna vote it down because this side said it.
Right.
We gonna vote it
Exactly.
down because that side said it. That's
Right.
not how life is.
It isn't.
Like if the bill fits for both, for us, for the people, then okay, fine. But just don't tell me no because Jason voted for it. That
Right.
doesn't make sense.
Well, and I think, Lance, that's where all the climate is. I think that's where the climate of the country is right now. They're setting that tone so
Mhm.
that people are fighting over the silliest thing. There was a person who stabbed in Berwyn, which is a suburb of Chicago. For those of you, there was a guy who stabbed and killed another person because the guy was mad at a 14-year-old child cutting line, and the guy confronted him like, "Why are you picking on a 14-year-old?" And he stabbed the guy over this. That's the type of stupidity I'm talking about, and how ramped up we are as a country right now. And it's happening
Mhm.
all over. It's not just
It
in
is.
Chicago or the major. It's happening everywhere, where everyone is just on edge and ready to fight everybody. And we got to figure out what we want to do as a nation, because if we keep doing this, we're not going to have much of a united or states anymore. And it's just getting really frustrating. I mean, I went today for the first time in 18 months. I went and finally was able to get a massage because the pandemic shut everything down. And I went and I got a hot stone massage. My first time doing the hot stone. I
Oh,
usually
you
do the
gotta
deep
tell me
tissue.
about that one.
Oh, it was beautiful. It
Oh
was
man, you gotta
nice. It
tell me
was
about
nice.
that.
And and I didn't get the Watson massage treatment. I got me a legitimate massage from a legitimate place, man. No Deshaun Watson action over here from your cousin.
Oh my goodness. But let me get you off the hook. But Jason, like I listened to Pastor Wright preach a
Hmm.
couple of last Sunday maybe,
Hmm.
and he told us to watch a movie called Exterminating the Brute.
Yeah, it's on I think it's on HBO.
HBO. Have you watched that series yet?
I've watched parts of it, yes.
It's interesting. And I think I'm watching it. I just did the first one, part one. It's a 4-part series, I'm pretty sure. But
Hmm.
just listening to that, it's a lot of stuff is about power.
Hmm.
I mean, then too, like stuff has to continue. People have to be able to communicate. People have to listen. Like before we could talk about it, people are already like, no, that doesn't
Hmm.
make sense. You haven't even
Hmm.
let me talk. Let's
Right.
let's view it. Let me view it from your side. You view it from my side. Put yourself in my shoes. And
Hmm.
then you can see how this really is. But oftentimes we just so like you said, this country is in a bad space.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about that because you're a coach. You're working with a lot of people from this younger generation, and one of the complaints that's been made is that they don't really have the interpersonal skills as past generations because they use so much time on technology that they don't really do a lot of face-to-face interacting with other people. So that you know, as a society, this is kind of where we're going, and that people don't have these interpersonal skills that they need, and that's also leading to some of the problems that we're seeing in the society. What are your thoughts? I mean, you're coaching this younger generation. You're with them every single day. Do you think there is a difference in terms of how they communicate to us? Because maybe it's not them, maybe it's us who need to change our ways of communicating. Maybe it's not them.
Yes and no. I think due to the fact that they're used to asking Siri for the answer, like I was talking to my brother Byron about this a couple of weeks
Hmm.
ago. I'm a verbal communicator, right? I'm gonna
Hmm.
call you, I'm gonna talk to you. Oftentimes I think the younger generation, I was brought up where it wasn't no, we did a lot of stuff face to face. I'm not gonna pick up my phone and text you when I'm right across the street. I'm gonna come
Right.
talk to you.
Or in the
But
house.
oh, in the house, yeah, they in the house, they texting each other, and I'm like, I'm just 30 feet away. I tell my players that all the time, and I
Hmm.
think parents, at least I could speak for myself.
Hmm.
Pops made you talk to people. Mama
Hmm.
Irvin, Louise Irvin, they
Hmm.
made you talk to
Sure
people.
did.
If you
Sure
was
did.
walking down the street, you had to say hello to people. Hey, Mr. Rice, how are you? Hey, Miss such 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 such. But nowadays, like They'll knock on your door. They ask to speak to Brooklyn, and they won't speak to you. I'm like, no, that's not how this goes. Now, that never happened to me, but a lot of times we need to stop tweeting and texting and call somebody and talk to them. So the communication is a little bit different than how it was, and I think also too, parents doing a little more for their kids than what my parents did for me. So my father put me out there. You had to learn, you had to go do different stuff on your own. So nowadays, there's so much, let me do this for my son, let me do this for my daughter. How they supposed to grow if they can't go out there and experience nothing? How they supposed to grow if they can't come and talk to Mr. Palmer and say hello? And sometimes it's okay to admit when you're wrong also.
Yeah, I agree. So once again, remind everybody, coming up at 7 o'clock, we're going to talk NFL draft with our good friend Ken Davis of the That's Davis show. He's coming up at 7, and I know Ken's got a lot of thoughts on the Bears and what they need. So stand by for that interview at 7 o'clock with him.
I can't wait for that. I'm just going to sit here and listen to y'all.
I know that's going to be a good one. That's a good one. And then next week, just to give you a little preview, next week, our guest, tell them who we got coming up next week.
We got one of the top 10 motivational speakers in the country, my man, Walter Bond. So we just tying up some loose ends. So we should have Walter Bond. Walter Bond played in the NBA. I think, matter of fact, Jay, when I was in Little League, did Walt hit a home run off me or did I strike him out? I'm going to have to ask Walt.
Oh, Lord. Here you
go. I tell you what, that man is fired when it comes to public speaking, too, now.
Nice.
Ooh, I took one of his courses. He's the one that helped to start this and talked about this with me, too. So, can't wait to have Walter on. Big Walter Bond.
Big Walter Bond. He'll be joining us next week. Also, we're probably going to have a guest from the Chicago Sky. The Chicago Sky opened training camp yesterday. And let's not forget, our girl Candace Parker is back in Chicago. She's playing for the Sky, man.
The Sky, it opened yesterday, Jay. You didn't get us passes to go see Candace Parker?
I did not get a pass to go see them. Everybody's still being, restrictive on COVID. So I hope to get out to some games this year. As a matter of fact, I know I'll get out to some games. I hope to be able to cover
Gabby Williams?
Yeah, Gabby. We got a lot of friends in that organization too. So I'm looking forward to them. I'm looking forward to see what the Sky do this year as well. Before we go to commercial break, we want to get one more topic in. And it is in regards to you know what? We're not going to do that. We are going to go to commercial break because coming up, we got a jump ball segment. You and I got to go at it on jump ball. We got a great question.
Lord.
Oh, yeah, we got a great question. We got a great question.
Up. I'm going
We got
first.
a great question.
Do I go first or you go
yes,
first?
it's your turn to go
My
first.
turn to go first.
Yeah, you go
You're going
first.
to get me fired up.
Yeah, so we're going to take a commercial break. You're watching What's Up, Cuz. We'll be right back after these messages.
Rock by Russell. What a play by Bill Russell.
I just arrived to get my COVID shot, and this is one shot I won't block.
Gratitude to a great ball club for courageous efforts.
No Celtics were harmed during my shot. Let's do this together. To learn more about vaccines, visit cdc.gov.
Hey y'all, this is the grandfather, Tony Allen. Listen up, it's time to be first team all defense against the coronavirus. Here's a few tips. You gotta lay low, stay at home as much as possible, and please stay away from the crowds and gatherings. The more social distance from others, better for all. Even if you don't feel sick, stop the spread and play lockdown defense. Enjoy all that good Memphis restaurant food you want, but please make it takeout or delivery. If you feel sick, do not go to work or the store. And yes, I know you hear this a lot, but wash your hands. We're going to get through this, but we've got to work together like a team to make it happen. For more information on the coronavirus, go www.cdc.gov. And remember, first team all defense.
Autism is a spectrum disorder. This means it affects each and every person differently. People with autism explore the world in unique ways. It's time to start seeing autism from a new perspective. I'm Megan Sinisi, Miss Central Pennsylvania, asking you to pledge to be an acceptance ambassador today at FromANewPerspective.org. With your help, we can inspire a community of inclusion for the 3.5 million Americans living with autism.
Accept, respect, empower.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin. And just like that previous, if we could all just learn to respect each other and protect one another, we'd go a lot further. This is Autism Awareness Month. I know a lot of my friends who have children who are autistic. I have some members of my family who are also autistic. And, I think we've really come a long way in terms of just understanding autism, in the last 10 years and just the respect that needs to be given to people who suffer from autism and realize they have things they can do, and a lot of times it's just the way you communicate with them and the way they communicate with you. So, I think that is the key going forward here. Autism awareness is something that we all should take more seriously and learn about more. And I think learning from them can help us as a society. So that's just my little talk on that. But hey, let's get ready for our favorite segment. Our newest favorite segment, Jump Ball. For those of you who have not seen the Jump Ball, we'll set it up for you. Ivan is sitting in for Maya today. So Ivan is our producer. So our Jump Ball segment, this is how this works. He throws out a question. Lance and I take opposing views on it. We each have 60 seconds to state our reasons for our view. And then you, the viewers, and Ivan and a whole bunch of other people get to jump in and say who they think won the argument. So that is how we play Jump Ball here on the What's Up Cuz show. Ivan, do we have the question ready and our clock?
Yeah, so actually, do we have a clock?
We do have a clock.
We have a clock.
As Ivan is the substitute producer, he's trying to find
I
the things we have for the show. I know we have a clock. That is when time is up. There is also a clock somewhere. However, Ivan, if you do not see a clock, then you are free to use the clock on your phone and or watch.
Okay, we'll do that then because I can't find it right now. But the question is,
all right. So this is how we do it. So you're gonna take me off the screen. Lance will be on the screen. Then you ask him the question. Then you start timing him. You give him 60 seconds, and when it's up, then you just say buzz or something, or throw the times up logo on. He got to shut up.
Exactly. I got the seconds on my screen. I'm large like that. Ask me the question.
So we'll start the question once I start the clock. Let me get that real quick, Lance. So you know what? I would come prepared, but I didn't know this was a.
That's Ivan. You
60 seconds, Lance.
Go ahead.
Lance, do you like the new MLB extra inning rules where players start on second base with no outs?
You know what? I like that rule, but I think the better question is this, Ivan. The better question is this.
That's the wrong question.
This is a better question. I'll tell you the question. I got the question. The question is this, Ivan. I got you. I'm a point guard. I got your back. Let me tell you. We're gonna roll with this one. Here's the question. You can start my time right now. My man Madison Bumgarner, right, pitched a no-hitter in 7 innings, right? They have nerve, Major League Baseball has nerve to give this man credit for a no-hitter. What type of blank is that? The man pitched a no-hitter. That's like changing the rules at the middle of the stream, Ivan, correct? Now, I pitched, and everybody know my fastball was unbelievable. If I pitched a no-hitter, I want credit for a no-hitter. I don't care if the game is 7 innings. It's the rule states, Jason, a game is 7 innings. I follow the rules. I pitch a no-hitter. I want my no-hitter. Nothing else to be said. You cannot change in the middle of the stream. If I sent 21 players back to the dugout without giving up a hit, what difference does it make? I follow the rules, whether it's 9 innings or 7 innings. Major League Baseball, come to your senses. Give Madison his no-hitter.
Time. All right. Jason, that was a good argument, Lance. I mean, I would agree with you.
Can't change the rules.
We're going to let Jason go ahead and get his rebuttal in because I think he might beg to differ. I'm not sure.
Oh, he can't beg to differ.
All right, let me just break this down for my cousin. we ain't pitching on the South Side Little League like he did, where it was only 7 inning games. This is Major League Baseball, damn it. You got to pitch 9 innings. You don't get to use some cheap, the rain came, so, we only played 6 innings. I had a no-hitter. No. That does not count. Yes, the MLB has changed the rules for double hitters. They are now 7 innings going forward. But you cannot give this man credit for a no-hitter. He did not go all the way through. It is a 9-inning game. It's not a 7-inning game, Lance. It's 9 innings. How does he even think he should get credit for a no-hitter? You did not go through the lineup 3 times, which is what is the minimum that's required to get a no-hitter. You went through 2 and 66%, 2 and 2/3 of the lineup, and now you talking about I want a no-hitter. No, you actually went 2 1/3 way through. I was terrible at math in high school. No, Lance, you don't get credit for a no-hitter in this. I'm sorry.
All right. Like, I honestly, Jason,
I haven't.
We were texting before, and I was telling you, I was like, I don't think I'm going to give him that. I'm not going to do that.
Why not?
Well, look, you change the rule. Like, there's plenty of guys that went 9 innings with their arm torn off, going 9 innings to deserve that type of accolade. You can't just start giving it to them with 2 innings short of that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Ivan, let me ask you a question. How many innings was the man supposed to play? How many innings was that game supposed to go?
It's a 7-inning game, but it's
Okay.
a modified.
Stop right there. You and Jason.
It's
a 7-inning game. Correct. Jay, was it a 7-inning game?
It was a 7-inning game.
What year is this?
2021.
What's the rule? What's the rule?
The rule is that the game was 7 innings. That doesn't mean he gets credit for it.
What else does he need to do? He did what was asked him. That's like a contract. So, Jay, if you have a contract, and your contract say you get $300,000 for 20 days of service. You did 20 days of service. He did it. He put his service in. 7 innings. Ivan, you don't want your $200,000 for 20 days?
He could take the $200,000. That's fine.
It's a contract.
I'm thinking
they're not paying them, Lance. They're not paying him. He's getting his money.
He wants the result.
But
it's a no hitter.
The record. It's just. I just think there's too many men that went out to that mound and threw a 9-inning ball game, like with everything they had, almost down to the last pitch, to work for that and to have 7 innings where you never know. So look at Carlos Rodon. Went to 9 with an out left or something, Jason? An out left, and he broke up his perfect game. Like that, like the little things like that are why you go 9 and deserve.
How many innings was he supposed to go? He's supposed to go 9 innings, though, right?
It's not his fault that the game was 7 innings, but that doesn't mean he doesn't get he can't get credit for a no-hitter, Lance. I'm talking
modified no-hitter.
Lance,
I don't believe y'all.
Let's say the game was scheduled for 9 innings, but after 6 innings, it was a big rainstorm, and they called the game, but he had a no-hitter going. Are you gonna give him credit for a no-hitter?
You working on what ifs? This is not a what if in this game. This game completion was 9 games. You're good. That's why I have to listen to you. You're good at what you do. You're good at persuading people. You make a good argument, cuz. But that man went out there to the best of his ability for 7 innings, faced 21 batters, and got 21 batters out.
He did, and he did a great job. And he got
Major League Baseball.
Got credit for a win.
Okay, let me ask you this: you hate the run on second rule, right?
I do.
You hate that rule, right?
I do.
Whose fault is that? Who implemented that rule?
I believe it came from the Rules Committee.
So who implemented this rule? Came from the Rules Committee.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
We'll take it up with the Rules Committee. Tell them that he should be given credit for a no-hitter. But he's not going to get credit for that until he pitches 9 innings.
Hey, Madison, I'm on your side. You pitched a no-hitter. You pitched a great game. Too bad the Rules Committee is awful. They're awful with this rule.
You pitched a great game, Madison, but you don't get credit for a no-hitter. We gave you a win. We gave you a complete game shutout win. So there you go.
If they gave him a win, then just give him the no-hitter also.
No, you got to earn it. It's like because those last 6 outs, anything can happen, Lance.
So how about this? Why don't we bring him back and play the last 6 outs? He can get his no-hitter in. Since y'all don't want to give him a no-hitter in, bring him back. Bring it back so he can get the other 6.
Again, that's something you need to take over the rules
We'll
committee.
bring it back so he can get the other 6 out.
It's the rules.
Rules committee, y'all awful. I need to negotiate. I need to go in front of the rules committee.
Well, we would love to hear from our viewers. What do you all think about this? Should Madison Bumgarner be given credit for a no-hitter, even though it only pitched 7 innings? Lance says he should. I said,
H-E, hockey stick, yes.
go ahead. Let me.
Man.
H.D. hockey 6 yes. Okay. All right.
Get this man a no-hitter.
Let's move forward to another topic that we were going to talk about right before the break, but I wanted to give this one justice. Early last week, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot hinted of the possibility of fans being able to attend Chicago Bulls and Chicago Blackhawks game at the United Center. Now, there's like a week left in the season, but okay. Okay, Lori. So this is what the United Center has looked like this year during COVID. This is at a Bulls game, and this is when there's absolutely nobody there except our buddy Joseph Phillips, who is in attendance at this game. But this is what Lori is saying is a possibility that it could look like if we have fans. Yeah, this would be the fans at a Blackhawks game. So this is what Lori is saying, that she would let a limited amount of people in at the United Center. I don't think it would be packed like this, but we could go from that. We can go from this to possibly that. So, Lance, let me hear your thoughts on the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, who apparently doesn't know that the season is coming to an end and that neither team is probably going to be in the playoffs, but maybe she'll let you in for fan appreciation day, Lance.
And Jason, I watched the Texas Rangers game. It's on opening day. They had like 38,000 in there. Why are we behind? I watched, what else I watched something today. I said, man, they got about 50,000 in there. Like, nah, we not saying overdo it, but Auntie Lori, the stadium holds 20,000.
Yes.
The Sox had what, Jay? What is like? They can have like 8,000.
Yes, 25% capacity.
25%.
Yeah.
Why not let the Bulls have the same thing? The season almost over, people getting vaccinated. Like we so behind the 8-ball. I watched the volleyball championship the other day, right?
Yeah.
Jay, that was a great game. Kentucky, oh my goodness, that was a great game. Them in Texas, wonderful game. They had like 5,000 fans in there. The arena said 20,000.
And that was in Nebraska. That was in Omaha.
That was in Omaha. So now, colleges getting fans. Some high school games have fans.
There are fans at my high school matches that I'm refereeing.
Jay, you ref. So the Bulls can't get in a 20,000 seat arena. They can't get 5,000. Socially distanced. Hell, you can sit 1 in this row, 2 in that row. They got rows 356 all around the building. They can't get 5,000 fans. New York had fans. Dallas has fans.
California has fans. And California had the most strictest COVID-19 protocols in any state in the country.
What's your thoughts, Jay? Break it down.
Well, because here's the thing. They said that Chicago, that the Bulls and the Blackhawks are the only teams in their sports that doesn't have fans now in the country. Everyone else is having fans except Chicago. But, I mean, this is Lori Lightfoot, who didn't even realize that other schools around the state of Illinois in high school were playing games when they asked her at the press conference. And they were like, well, when are you going to let CPS play? She said, well, I'm taking my guidance from the IHSA. And they were like, you do realize everybody else is already playing. And she was like, no. So, I mean, Lori,
come on, man.
I know the woman has a lot on her plate, but just from a business standpoint, she's got to understand, what the Blackhawks and the Bulls are dealing with. And for you to not allow them to have fans, and I've said this before, even on Sean and Maya's show, I think the Blackhawks and the Bulls not having fans has definitely affected the way the team played. Because here they are playing all these games, and they're going all over the country playing games, and they're seeing fans in other stadiums, and they come back to their own stadium, and that place is like a ghost town. The only person there is Joseph Phillips, and Joseph can't cheer because he's a member of the press. So, I just think, I just don't understand the logic that she's using behind this. I don't know who her advisors are that are telling her this is a good idea, because you have a 20,000 seat stadium limited to, 10% capacity. it gets you 2,000. But and people were saying, well, it's different than the Cubs and the White Sox because those are outdoor
Opener.
facilities and blah blah blah. Well, okay, it's an indoor facility. So instead of giving them 20%, do 10%. Give them 2,000 people. Give them something. I do think throughout this whole pandemic, many of our political leaders on both sides of the aisle have forgot that you also have to give people something to look forward to. If you're going to take away something, you got to give them something to look forward to. And I know you use that psychology as a coach too to motivate players as well. Well, you got to motivate your citizens and say, hey, y'all go out. Y'all keep getting these shots. Our numbers are going down. You keep doing that. Look, I can let you get to the Blackhawks game. I can let some of you get in. I don't see her doing that. And I just think it's a really bad idea politically and just a bad idea in general.
Hey Jay,
is what she's done.
Here's the thing also. Right. People play a little bit differently. Sometimes you get a little bit more energized when it's fans there, right? If we have the kids going back to school in limited numbers, why we can't have fans at the Bulls game? Kindergartners going back to school, first, second grade. Didn't high schools go back in Chicago? Some students on different days, right?
They did.
High school's going back. High school's going back. So now everybody is back except the NBA in Chicago and the NHL. Come on now. If you saying it's safe enough for kids to go back, it should be safe enough for adults to go back, as long as they socially distance. And give them give them 3,000-4,000. Heck, they'll probably take that. But like you said, they behind the 8 ball now, and they need to start letting fans back in.
I agree. I mean, again, I just think it's really bad. You're not allowing the people who work as the parking attendants to make money, the food vendors. It's a way to help stimulate the economy as well, and you can do it in a very safe fashion. And I'm just really miffed at this decision because she's never really explained it. And
I was going to ask you that.
Well, the problem is because it's like anything else. The press, we're not really able to cover a lot of stuff like we normally would because of the restrictions. I guarantee you she get 10 journalists who are not talking to her via Zoom, but right there in her face. And we could really kind of, holler at her like, what are we doing? How do you feel about Chicago being the only city that's not allowing fans in games? And that's really the question that they need to just ask her straight up to her face and say, have you talked to Mr. Reinsdorf about this? Have you talked to Mr. Wirtz about this? What were their thoughts on this, on you denying fans access to the Bulls and the Blackhawks game? So it's just a really curious decision that she's made. I'm not really sure where she's coming from or what the logic is behind it, but I just think it's really hurting the team. So,
hey Jay, let me ask you this: you see how fast they got the fans back in the Wrigley Field?
Yeah, they did. They did.
They would have been. The Ricketts. They would have been hollering and screaming. Cubs fans would have been hollering and screaming. You and I both know that now.
Well, and especially since the Cubs built the new hotel and all the renovations and stuff they done, they spent a lot of money and they need to be able to start recouping some of that money. So, they definitely had to do it. So I'm sure the Cubs were able to put a little pressure on Mayor Lightfoot. So, all right. So let's move on to a couple other topics before we bring on our guest, Ken Davis. He's coming on at 7:00 as we talk the NFL draft and what the Bears need and what they're going to do. But we got some other news here. Let's talk a little hockey here. Big news today. Andrew Shaw, a member of 2 Stanley Cup championship squads for our Chicago Blackhawks. There he is. Announced he's retired. Andrew has been suffering some concussions, and basically his doctors strongly worded a letter and told him, dude, you need to stop before you wind up not knowing what your name is no more. He suffered another concussion this year as he tried to come back and play and hadn't been back since. He suffered a concussion earlier in the season, but Andrew Shaw has retired after 10 seasons in the NHL, most of them with the Blackhawks. Your thoughts on Andrew Shaw's announcement today?
You know what? You always hate when you almost forced to retire, because I think he probably figured he had a couple more years left in him. And I'm happy he at least had the opportunity to win some Stanley Cups and stuff like that, right? But I think it's a difference when you walk out on your own, when you force to walk out. And it sounds like you said, they kind of forced them out. So Jay, and I understand why the doctors did it. I mean, you riding a slippery slope, because one more hit now, he might be damaged for life, but I'm happy he at least has the opportunity, and he going out with all his senses right. So with that being said, kudos to the doctors that's trying to help him. And I'm glad he wasn't stubborn and being hard headed like some athletes. No, I'm playing another year. No, I'm playing another year. Then you never know. So I'm happy that he's retired, and at least the doctors thought enough of him to tell him and say, look, you need to step away for a little while.
And there's our guy, Greg Robbins. He's jumping on the screen here. I don't know where Greg is right now, but there he is. He jumped on the screen. But yeah, it's just very interesting that, it's hard to walk away from the sport, man. Nobody wants to walk away, whether you're a professional athlete or you're a weekend warrior. When your body is telling you, yeah, man, I can't do this no more. I know you want to do this, but you can't do this no more. That's hard for any person to come to that decision. And when it's time to walk away, I mean, let's bring your career up. I mean, you went further in your career in basketball than I did with mine in baseball. But you played at the D1 level. But everybody has that dream of I want to go pro, whether it's playing overseas or wherever. When you suffered some of your knee injuries, I mean, what was it that you said? Okay, it's time for me to stop. Time for me to look to do something else.
Basically, the doctors told me like they told him. I mean, the doctors were like, hey, look, your knee, you bone on bone. I mean, you might not be able to walk like you normally walk. And I really had to think about it. And I do walk a little bit differently from time to time. But it was hard to step away from something that I love. And Jay, just to get ready for in order for me to play, the game started at 7, I get to the gym at 4:30. Start jumping in the hot pool, do some jump rope, start stretching. Had to put the heating pack on, then stretch again. Then if I sat on the bench too long, it was gonna stiffen up on me. And finally, I was like, man, I have had enough. And then it's sore after the games and stuff. So I was just like, no, it's time to just step away. But I listened to the doctors on that. They wanted me to stop a year earlier, but I pressed it another year because I wanted to play. And my father was like, it's up to you if you want to play. But then when I said, Dad, I'm done, and the doctor, he was like, yeah, you probably should be done. So, he's like, you got to listen to the doctors. I know you want to play, and I know you love it. But at some point in time, enough is enough. Like I said, I'm glad I stopped when I did, Jay. Like I said, I still walk with the limp right now. And people tell me, why you walking like that? And, my knee won't bend all the way, Jay. So, I mean, it's tough. But, hey, sometimes it's hard to walk away from it.
Right. And I mean, your brother Byron, Byron made it to the league, and then, he had the foot injury, which, forced his early retirement. Mac, had to retire a little early, but, he got to play overseas, but, he eventually called it quits too. And it's got to be the hardest decision for all us athletes. I mean, for me, it was an injury. I got out of baseball, with my health intact 100%. For me, it was more of just ability, man. The curveball hard to hit. Shit. Man, I was at tryouts one time in college, man. This dude threw a yacker. I was like, man, where the hell he throw that from? I thought he put spit on the ball or something. I was like, oh, they like this on the next level? I was like, hey, journalism, Jay, huh? That's a great way to go.
And then, too, Jay, when you do the physical therapy, like the rehab, like I had to do, that stuff, man, that stuff is not for the faint of heart either. For 12 months, you every day and stuff. But getting back to what you said, now that curveball, when you get up in age, them hooks right there, and that thing coming fast too. This ain't Little League now.
No, it wasn't no hanger. It had a sharp break on it, and it was coming and just trying to recognize it. Then they started throwing sliders and all this other stuff. I was like, we're getting a little rough here.
Hey, Jay, and they talking about read the seams. I'm like, read the seams.
I don't even see the seams.
What seams you reading? That ball's coming so fast and so hard, Jay. I'm up there like, you up there like, Oh, that's what we doing today, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
No, man, that ball get up on you so fast, Jay. That ball get up on you like in 2 seconds.
That's right. That's right. So, everybody's got to know when to call it quits. And, Andrew Shaw, listening to his doctors. And I'm sure his wife probably had a lot to do with it, too. A good woman is not going to let you, kill yourself out there. She's going to try to pull you to the side.
Rings, Jay.
Yeah, he got 2 rings, man. He got 2 rings. So he'll never have to buy beer in Chicago anymore. I tell you that. So Andrew Shaw is retired. Let's talk a little bit about the Cubs. The Cubs are currently down 4-0 to the Braves.
I can sum them up easy.
Uh-oh. Well, the score probably is an indication of your summary, but go ahead.
You know what? I'm gonna concede to you because all I'm gonna say. Man, you can't hit a home run every time you at bat.
You can't.
They either the Cubs hit some home runs and they win, or it's a bust. Man, you have to hit. What's wrong with getting a man to second and third, driving man? Let's get some singles.
Man to second, you gotta get on first.
You gotta get on first.
I know it's hard for you.
Hey,
I mean, it's like they think they can just bypass all the bases and get a run. It doesn't work like that, fellas.
When we was on before, when we were on a couple of weeks ago, Baez batting 200, Rizzo batting 200. I mean, Jay, come on, Cubs. I'll let you break it down. I told you it's simple. 200 are busts.
It hadn't gotten any better. It hadn't gotten any better. And, the sad part is that now they're pitching is also kind of going in the tank too. I was watching the games this weekend against the Brewers, and in both games, they walked in a run and they also hit a batter with the bases loaded. So I'm like, well, if you're just going to give the people the run, then, the other team don't even have to hit because you're walking people, you're hitting batters, they're committing errors. They're all over the place right now, man. I just don't see this team staying together through the All-Star break. I know people are saying it's still early, but I don't see it.
It's Jay, because didn't they win like a couple in a row, 1 or 2 in a row?
They did.
Lost like 3 in a row and 2 in a row. I don't know, Jay. We keep saying it's early, right? It ain't that damn early. Excuse my language.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. They still have time, but I just don't see any changes because what I've seen in the early part of the season is the same thing I've been seeing for the last 3 years. So, I'm not looking at it as just this season. I'm looking at everything they've done since, pretty much 2018, 2019. And it's just, they've been consistently bad offensively.
Let me ask you what you just said. You said you were looking at it from the last couple of what?
Seasons. Yeah.
Season. So what major adjustment or changes has been made?
Since
in the last couple of years where you can say, oh, okay, I could
multiple
see where they
batting
got
coaches,
that much better.
Multiple coaches, Joe Madden being gone. It's all personnel, light personnel, but mainly coaches.
But what about the personnel? Like I was gonna say, I know they changed managers, but what about the personnel?
There you go. That's a good point.
It's still the same old crew.
It is. And I think that's the problem. Your core has been the same. Your core ain't getting it done. When Baez, Wilson Contreras, Bryant, Hayward, Rizzo. I mean, those are your guys from the championship squad. Now you got rid of Schwarber, who was also part. You blame Schwarber as being a problem, but you still got these other 5 guys who are not pulling their weight. So I think we're in for the Cubs doing some serious dealing at the trade deadline. The problem is, did you wait too long to trade them? And what is the value that you're going to get back at this point?
They might have. I don't know. And like you said, even though I'm a Sox fan, you want to see the teams, at least I do. I want to see the teams in Chicago do well. But I also know that some point in time, you have to make a change.
Right.
You can't be stagnant, and you can sometimes wait too long before you make a trade. Like you can trade the managers all you want to, but the manager's not hitting, the manager's not pitching.
Show it. So, all right. We're going to take our second break of the show because coming up next, we're going to talk some NFL and the NFL draft with our guy,
I can't wait.
Kenneth Davis. Me either, man. I can't wait to see what our Bears do, man. And I want to hear what Kenneth Davis got to say about it. It's coming up after commercial break.
Why are you perpetrating the Bears fans? Stop perpetrating.
African Americans here and across the country are contracting coronavirus at higher rates than others. People of color and those with underlying health conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, and asthma are being hit hard. Please protect yourself and your family. Wash your hands often. Clean and disinfect frequently touched items. Wear a cloth face covering in public places like the grocery store where it's hard to social distance. More importantly, stay at home as much as possible. Your safety and the safety of our community depends on it.
Let's get back to normal. How do we do that? Wear masks, wash your hands, stand 6 feet apart, get tested, and most important, roll up your sleeve and get the shot.
Get the shot. Get the shot.
Get the shot.
I got the shot. I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot, and so should you.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans, and soon they will be available to everyone.
This vaccine means hope. It will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
I want to go back to work and I want to be able to move around.
To visit with Michelle's mom, to hug her and see her on her birthday.
You know what I'm really looking forward to is going to opening day in Texas Ranger Stadium with a full stadium.
We've lost enough people and we've suffered enough damage.
In order to get rid of this pandemic, it's important for our fellow citizens to get vaccinated.
I'm getting vaccinated because we want this pandemic to end as soon as possible.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
So roll up your sleeve and do your part.
This is our shot.
Now it's up to you.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise. High as the listening skies, let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. We will march on till victory. We will march on till victory. Let us march on till victory is won.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin, as we get ready to bring on our guest for tonight's show is we are going to talk about the NFL draft, which is starting this coming Thursday, Lance. This coming Thursday, we're going to start seeing draft picks and names of people being announced and bad suits being worn and mothers crying over their baby. And the last year we saw the baby mama got shoved to the side by the mama, and then that was the meme. And that's what I look for. I look for the reactions in the house. I'm like, I don't know who this dude is that got drafted, but his mama looked like he about to whoop that girl ass. So,
hey, did you see at the WNBA draft, Dee Richards' mother jumped in front? Dee Richards' mother. Dee played for Baylor, right? Her mother was younger looking, and they was talking afterwards. You know, they was talking to Shaq or whatever. The mother jumped on screen, and Shaq was like, "Man, I started a new app. Ooh, damn, your mama fine."
Yeah, it's starting to get very interesting when because everybody's at home now, so it's not like they're all in the one spot where they do the draft. Call people in the house, and there's some very interesting things going on in these houses. I remember the NBA draft, some guy they gave him the wrong hat, and then some dude came and flung the hat off the screen, and the boy was mad he got drafted by Utah. It was a hot mess. So I watch for the entertainment value because I may not know all the players. So
hey, Jay, that stuff. But let me ask you this real quick too.
Yeah.
Before KD come on, maybe we can talk about this later. How Chadwick Boseman not win the Oscar last night?
Okay. So I watched the Ma Rainey show. I didn't really like it, but I thought Chad's performance was incredible. I thought his performance was incredible. I didn't really like how they did the story. I don't really like when they take a play and turn it into a movie because it don't really come out right a lot of times because it's a different kind of adaptation to what the play is like. But Chadwick was the man, without a doubt. And usually you will get I hate to say it like this, but usually you'll get the sympathy. He died, so let's give him the award. But that didn't happen last night. I was kind of surprised that Chadwick did not win posthumously. And the guy was a hell of an actor, and he probably deserved it for some of his other work. But what can I say? So, but hey, we'll see. But hey, you're right. Let's bring on our guy. I may not know all the players, but this guy knows all the players. He is invested in the NFL. He's going to talk to us about the Chicago Bears. He may even talk about my side piece team and what we need down there in South Florida. But we're going to bring him on because we got a lot of questions on the Bears. And, everybody want to know what's going to happen Thursday. He is the host of his own show, the That's Davis Show. And he's got a couple other projects that he's working on. We're going to talk about that stuff with him. And two, our good friend, Kenneth Davis. KD, what's up, brother? How you? Minute time out.
Music right there, boy. Woo, KD.
It's sexy time now, boy. It's that time now. It's that time. Ma. Yeah. You wasn't ready for that, was you, Jay?
I said, what the heck? They know about that.
They know about that. You know about that. I've had the super secret in the sleeve, ready to get you.
KD, I just started feeling. I was like,
I'm just saying, you gotta have. Hey, you gotta have your theme music right. You gotta have your
what
theme
is that?
music.
Hot butter rum, hot butter soul. I said, what's going? I was kind of like, whoa, here we go.
I'm like, when did we go back to the 70s here? What happened? What happened? Oh,
Hey,
God.
you hit us with the Black National Anthem, so I had to come with something. And listen, I had never seen that rendition at the UC, and I enjoyed it. But the only thing that kind of was Wendell Carter at the beginning, Wendell Carter Jr., and Felicio towards the end. Outside of all of that, it's fantastic.
Ooh, that man intro is nice.
Oh man. Okay, I don't know where to start. My first question.
Katie,
now.
I got the first question for you, Katie. Katie, I got the first question. You my man when it comes to football. There ain't no side piece team. I'm not trying to talk about the Miami Dolphins that has everything.
We got to get a little side piece there, dog. You know.
In this NFL draft? Are we taking a Oh, Katie, you let Maya and Jay corrupt you. Well, we can talk about them last.
Yeah, we talk about that later. But go ahead. Please continue.
Katie, are we gonna draft up to get us a quarterback, or are we taking a corner back with our first pick? What are we doing?
I don't think it's going to be a corner with the first pick. Now, I'll say this. Perhaps if they move back, and I mean back maybe still in the first round or the beginning of the second round, and I still don't think they would take a corner then. I do believe they will draft a cornerback. I would kind of look forward to maybe being the third, perhaps to go after the cornerback, depending on what you do when it comes to quarterback and perhaps offensive line. Especially, listen, we get on Ryan Pace a lot, but when it comes to certain positions, specifically on defense, he draft-wise, he has done kind of decent or well. So I can believe that he may be able to find in a cornerback-heavy draft a young corner who may not necessarily be a guy that has to come on and take Marcus Trufant's job or try to take Marcus Trufant's job. Because, I mean, you also got to look at it, and we know Jalen Johnson performed very well outside of getting injured, and that he was attacked last year, and he performed well. He only really got, like, burnt, which everyone gets burnt or beat, like, really twice, where you was like, damn. And that happens. The NFL is set up for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Basically. You know, like, it's set up for that to happen. But I don't see it in the first. It would have to take, and I don't even know if they do it, it would have to take where if they had J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain to second, it would have to take them perhaps falling to the Bears for that to be appealing enough. And I don't even know then if it's the most pressing thing. Because if you look at it, the defense should be good, if not in a way kind of better. And I it's hard for me to say that with Kyle Fuller no longer being on this team. But you are bringing Eddie Goldman back, and we saw the impact of him opting out during the pandemic last year. You saw it initially, especially when it was so hard to stop the run and to collapse the pocket up front. So you should have more pressure, and I would think Robert Quinn should be able to do something. All right, so and then when we're looking at the fact that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, quote unquote, are playing coaching and a GM for their jobs. If that's true, we don't know, because we never really know what's going on up there. But if it's pressing, they got to get something for that offense, because really, it's not sexy. You need another tackle really to fortify that line. And even if you get a quarterback, that quarterback is not going to help you with winning right away. I don't care really whoever you get. Because let's just say hypothetically you're a Mac Jones guy. You know what I'm saying? And Mac Jones is not going to be – first, Mac Jones still has to go from college to the pros. Regardless of what you think of Mac Jones, he has to go from college to the pros. But still with that line, you're asking a lot. And then with Matt Nagy's going to be the guy coaching all these quarterbacks, so you're asking a lot of them with that. I would think with the first couple of picks, if not three, they want to get an offensive weapon. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at the fact they went after Kenny Galladay, who was a free agent from the Lions. I believe he went to the Giants. He signed with the Giants. They went hard at Kenny Galladay. They went so hard that Allen Robinson came and signed his free agent tag. How hard they went at it. He was like, let me get up in here and sign this damn tag before they trade me or whatever. But when you say cornerback, I don't see it with the first pick, them going after a cornerback with that first pick, because I mean, defense isn't your problem. That spot in the defense is an issue, and you could fortify with more bodies. But you know the real problem with this team is they don't score enough on offense consistently.
You know what? The reason, Jay, and I'll be brief, the reason why I said cornerback, because I know Fuller left, but also my man Mel Kiper was kind of saying like you. And
He was.
Mel Kiper said we need an offensive lineman. So he was talking about the big fella at USC.
I'm always a guy that says build from the trenches. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but when you look at it, how many teams do we know consistently make it to the playoffs because they got a dope ass wide receiver?
Nobody.
I mean, really think about it. Really think of it. How many teams win championships? Think about how many championships. I'm gonna give y'all this for the last our last generation as we were rounding out and becoming grown. How many championships does Randy Moss and T.O. have?
I was just thinking about it. I was just going to say, well, let me talk about Terrell Owens.
Tim Brown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how many when you say, I think how many, like when you're saying that, like, and again, it looks good, but if you could keep your quarterback upright, you can supplement other guys to kind of feel, especially if you have a good quarterback. Mind you, like for the majority of his career, okay, Aaron Rodgers had Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson was pretty good at his peak, pretty good. But you would never say like, man, Jordy Nelson. I mean, to the point where you would put some of the all-time greats, like, and even if you look at Favre, just keeping it local, yeah. I mean, but usually those guys make those receivers better.
Right.
I mean, but when you really look at it, great receivers really don't change the trajectory of your team when it comes to winning. But an offensive line, it can make an average quarterback look like an above average quarterback. It can make a good running back look like a great during a certain amount of times. It's just, if you can sit there and a fortified offensive line gives you a chance to make a lot more mistakes than a weak offensive line and questionable quarterbacking. So, I mean, the only thing is this, and this is a deep tackle draft. Okay. I'm a Tevin Jenkins guy, and it's funny on the Under Center podcast today. We did something from Wednesday as far as both draft predictions, and also we broke down Adam Hogue's some of the guys he has going in the draft. And I've liked Tevin Jenkins, but I haven't watched a ton of tape on Tevin Jenkins, so let me leave with that. But one of the things that he said is he sees Tevin Jenkins as primarily only staying at right. Now, I'm not against if you draft a guy and he's just a good right tackle, but I would prefer a guy that's going to start off at right and can transition to left tackle, because that's your real concern. This year, it's the thing too, because a lot of people get it twisted. Let me put it like this. I wouldn't draft a tackle and was like, you're going to go and take Charles Leno's Jr.'s job this year. Because when it comes to tackles, regardless of if we don't like Charles Leno Jr., and he doesn't mess up as much as he used to, or this season he didn't mess up as much as seasons past. When it comes to the left tackles, he is cheap, basically. You know what I'm saying? For a cap-strung team. So what you could do is sit there, and you got a Fetty now that's looking like he may be the right starter. And I'm not saying get rid of any of these guys, but you could fortify with more depth, or if that kid can get that starting job out of there. So when guys go down, because we know guys that go down, you will have better talent to replace those guys and won't go through that long period that they went through this past season of trying to rejigger that offensive line and gain some cohesion that they did when they started playing lesser teams towards the end of the season.
You know, you mentioned the thing about the wide receivers, and I think about one of the greatest ones he's only played one Super Bowl. He didn't get a ring, is Larry Fitzgerald. You know, Larry didn't have a ring either. So I agree with you. You do have to build from the trenches. So we know what the Bears need. I think we've all broken that down. What will they do, Ken? Because with them. Listen, with Ryan Pace. This is the thing too. When you really think about it, we've never seen Ryan Pace with Matt Nagy with first round picks, right? Because I may be getting it twisted. I don't think so. Matt Nagy's first year was the year they traded for Khalil Mack, right? They haven't had first round picks, right? So and I could be wrong. I could be right after the draft. I could be wrong actually they had that draft and then he didn't have first round picks, is what I should say. So because Nagy got there and then they traded for Khalil Mack like in December, because I was on the Score. That was one of the reasons we got over on the Score that weekend. Me and my buddy hosted, because it was like, Khalil Mack just got traded here. We're going to use this because they're going to ride this the whole show, right? Right. So, but still, it'll be interesting to see what Nagy and Ryan Pace do, because we know Ryan Pace is adventurous when it comes to the draft, right? He don't give no F's whatsoever when it comes to moving around how he wants to move around. You know what I'm saying? But now, if a guy is identified, it's who is your guy? You know what I'm saying? Like I would think, definitely talking to some people, I would think they have several quarterbacks, if we're talking about quarterbacks, that they're looking at, right? If so-and-so, if Justin Fields falls here, if Trey Lance falls, I don't know where they would rank Mac Jones in their building if Mac Jones falls, right? But then you also got to look, they have to have a favorite when it comes to Kyle Trask, Davis Mills, and Kellen Mond. They have to have their guy, because it's like this. Listen, we may not be able to get those guys, and also, really, we shouldn't be mortgaging the future. With the work that they've done so far, they really shouldn't be given a chance
to get to give up 2 or 3 first-round picks. And it really comes down to this: how close is your team to really winning, where you can give up that type of capital? And we're trusting you to know who the right guy is, and then coach that guy up. So, one of the things that with that recording again on Under Center, we had an NBC cast member, a brother, Glenn Morgan. He does mock drafts too. And it's one thing I'm saying, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not mad at it. It's perhaps they move back a little bit. And it's something that I've thought about because I would prefer more bites at the apple in the first 2 to 3 rounds, preferably the first 2, really, especially in a draft that's heavy. It's heavy in the positions that we all have just been talking about. It's heavy at offensive tackle, it's heavy at cornerback, and it's heavy at wide receiver. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if you could jump out there and solidify that, because I do want a quarterback, but I also have to look at it as if these guys are real. Let's be earnest. If they really playing for their job, you need to do something else. Now, their boss may be like, you better do what you need to do to keep your job, but you also better get me a quarterback. That's one thing. So I don't know. I would say if I had to bet on it, I would say that they stand still, depending on who falls. Depending on who falls, and also depending on who's lying.
Because what I was going to ask. Yeah,
we're in a situation now where Carolina's now like, man, we may take a quarterback, which is like, really, son? You gonna trade for Sam Darnold? And then listen. And I'm not listen. I kind of like Sam Darnold when he was at SC and he came out that rookie year. But if you traded for Sam Darnold, right, and you didn't have to give up a ton, but they believe they gave up a second. You want him to at least next year do the best that he's ever done and feel the best at the security of his position. I would think maybe that's not important to you, and to be honest with you, it shouldn't. But you traded for him. Right. But you have teams, as these teams should, where now, for instance, even Detroit, if I was Detroit, I would be making it even louder. Like, man, I may give me a quarterback just so someone will give me some draft equity. But if the question is, what happens with the teams that, like a Carolina, if they're like, you know what, we really don't want a quarterback, but we're just hyping it up. What happens when those teams don't get what they want, if that happens, and they draft a tackle or skill position player, or a little bit later, Michael Parsons or one of the defensive guys, or Surtain, J.C. Horn, so on and so forth. And then perhaps that quarterback, Justin Fields or somebody, ends up at 9, 10, 11, 12. And for instance, like, we don't really, because these are the teams you got to think about. Denver, all right, Belichick, you know what I'm saying? These are the teams when it comes, if we're talking about quarterback, that you have to be worried about, like, yeah, they can really get in the way. The teams out of the front 3 teams that may draft quarterback. Right. So that's the concern, is who's lying, which you should be lying at this point. You should be trying to get as much equity in the future as possible. And can the Bears stay pat and know, you know what? I'm going to come in like a sniper. Not even a sniper. I'm going to come in like a true player when you're down on your luck, and kind of come in there like, man, you look like things aren't going too well, man. Let me help you out. You know what I'm saying? With some strings attached to it. You know what I'm saying?
But see, Ken, that's what I was going to ask you. I think that Ryan Pace panics a lot. I see a lot of panic in his game. I don't see that smoothness in his game. And I think after he sees these first few picks, I think he's going to pull another panic move like he did when he moved all these picks around to move up to get Trubisky. I see him possibly doing that again. I don't think they're going to stay in that 20 slot. I think he's going to panic and say, no, I have my eye on this guy right here, this particular quarterback. This is the guy who I wanted, and I'm afraid somebody else is going to get him, and he's going to give up a whole bunch of draft capital and players and move up again. That is my biggest fear.
Oh, wait. I didn't even know you had on both teams until I just saw it right there. All right.
Man, I knew it was going to be some BS on the show.
I didn't even know. All right. But look, I think, listen, you're spot on with what the past has proven. And any intelligent person will go over past history. He's proven that's what dude went up 1 spot for Mitchell Trubisky, dude. I mean, just think of it. One. And listen, how crazy it is. And people will say, if you got a guy, go get your guy. Dude, it was a draft with 3 quarterbacks, at least we knew right there. Now, even if, let's say hypothetically it was 2, let's just say he was definitely not a Patrick Mahomes guy, right? Let's just say that, right? You knew, and the guy you had to get Deshaun Watson. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the easy money pick out of all three of them at that moment. You know what I'm saying? You could have settled, and maybe some people say you shouldn't say. You went up one pick for a bust and a kid that only started like 17 games. I'm with you, Jason. I could see it. I could see the same thing happening. I would hope though that, and again, the proof is in the pudding in the past. I will hope, though, that ownership is kind of like, you just don't have that type of leeway because it hasn't necessarily been proven positive. And you got to come up with a better way to do it. Because one thing I'll say this right before you jump in, Lance, we keep acting like all these quarterbacks are going to hit. And I've only known, and one of them I may have been like 4 years old. I've only known 3 drafts where 3 quarterbacks drafted in the first round hit. All right. That's Marino, Elway, and I'm blanking on Marino, Elway. Who else? And also, what's the name that went to with Buffalo?
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly, Marino, Elway, and Jim Kelly went to USFL at first, right? Like I said, I was about 4, and then the Eli Manning, Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers draft. Now, y'all tell me about any other draft where 3 quarterbacks, right, were all Hall of Famers. All right. And even in that one, you had Kenny Anderson, I believe, in the Marino draft, but and at least he was good. It usually doesn't happen. Now, it is easier to transition from college to the pros playing quarterbacks than it's ever been because they run more college style offenses nowadays, right? I'll give you that. But we keep acting like, man, we get this quarterback, our problem is solved. You don't know, man. Listen, it's a good chance, man. Only two and a half of these guys hit. And you got to hope that you pick the right one. You know what I'm saying? Because look at how many people, and again, I mean, it's an outlier because of how different he is, but everybody in the league passed on Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a person that on my old show told Hub Arkish, as I pat myself on the back, that I prefer Josh Allen to Baker Mayfield. You know what I'm saying? And there are certain points in Josh Allen. Listen, that Josh Allen game the year before last in the playoffs, you would have been like, man, get Josh Allen ass the hell up out of here. You know, like it also depends on where they fall. Like you could be a really good quarterback, and most of them are system quarterbacks. You got to fall to the right team.
You know what, Ken? You said something a little bit too. Man, it's a lot of quarterbacks out there, right? And you just said it's about the system also. And the thing that makes me nervous is when I heard you and Jason said, man, Pace gets nervous. Like, man, why you get nervous? Like, you don't trade up for Mitch. Why? And secondly, man, I think, let me ask you this question. Is it easier for us to get a lineman to help us right away? Because my thinking is, if you do draft a quarterback, right, he's not going to beat out Andy Dalton early on. Like, I think Andy Dalton is serviceable. But I do agree with you. Like, is it easier for that lineman to come along versus waiting for a quarterback?
Look, the crazy thing is this. ESPN has been running this last week. It's a big thing Greeny was up on. Dude, they have, as a lineman, I believe it may be 60, but 68%. 68% of linemen drafted in the first round sign a second contract with the team they're drafted with.
I didn't know that. See?
Receivers are in the 20 percentile. All right. So 60-something% of linemen make out. All right. 60% of them. But dude, listen, look at your best receiver on your team right now. He came from another team.
He did. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, right. Yeah. Just think about it. Like your tight end now I know we have 2 now, Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham. But Jimmy Graham came this was his 4th team that he came. Like usually those positions, and even if the players play well, it just may be in a state where the team doesn't believe in paying for them, or the team can't afford how well that player has played, the type of money that now their commiserate can get. But no, I mean, it's not sexy, but it's offensive lineman. But even with that, you got to hit on the right offensive lineman. But when it comes to some of those things, you look at Cody Whitehair, you look at James Daniels. He doesn't mess those up for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Those are things that it's kind of the skill position guys. And then the problem is too, he always wants to give them the job. You know what I'm saying? Like let me put it like this.
What you mean by give them the job? What you mean by
for instance, like when they got rid of Mike Davis, so David Montgomery could be just the bell cow. One, the offensive line wasn't good enough, but at that point, David Montgomery didn't know the NFL well enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you saw what Mike Davis did last year for Carolina. There's no reason he shouldn't have been in the Bears running back room. I mean, you cut him. You know what I'm saying? Like you signed him in the offseason, then cut him. You know what I'm saying? And he has a tendency to do that, to prop up. Looks like Mitch, never really having competition with Mitch until last year.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with competition. He's even as fearful as those players are as far as having competition. He shouldn't be that. They should be forged in fire, and they should have to sit there and go up against somebody and beat them out. Because one, it proves to the team too who they are. But Ryan Pace never sets that up. He always he stacks the deck for his draft picks, and you don't necessarily have to do that.
I agree. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back. We got a few more minutes with our guy, Kenneth Davis, because we want to talk to him about his shows that he's going. This dude's got so many podcasts popping up, I can't keep up, but we're going to talk about his shows and how he got into his career. We're going to let you know a little bit about Ken. You're watching What's Up, Cuz, with myself, Jason Palmer, and Lance Irvin. We'll be right back.
Russell, what a play by Bill Russell.
I just arrived to get my COVID shot, and this is one shot I won't block.
Gratitude to a great ball club for a courageous effort.
No Celtics were harmed doing my shot. Let's do this together. To learn more about vaccines, visit cdc.gov.
Autism is a spectrum disorder. This means it affects each and every person differently. People with autism explore the world in unique ways. It's time to start seeing autism from a new perspective. I'm Megan Sinisi, Miss Central Pennsylvania, asking you to pledge to be an acceptance ambassador today at FromANewPerspective.org. With your help, we can inspire a community of inclusion for the 3.5 million Americans living with autism.
Accept, respect, empower.
Welcome back to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palm. I'm being joined by my cousin Lance Irvin and Kenneth Davis of That Davis Show. And before we get back to our topics that we were just talking about, obviously we are a pro shot show here on the What's Up, Cuz show. We are
not everybody on this station is, though.
Not everybody on the station is.
Wild Hunted's out in this.
Well, our show is a very pro shot show. And I saw something very interesting today. It was a very interesting article. In the richest zip code in Chicago, I think it was 60606. Basically down there in the Gold Coast. Every resident in that zip code has gotten the shot, at least one dose of the shot. And then they went to Inglewood, and in the Inglewood zip code, only 21% of the residents have got the shot. And it's not because it's not available. Chicago is now experiencing where they have almost more shots and not enough people to put arms in.
You can go to a gas station and get a shot right now.
You can pretty much go anywhere. They're not caring about age and preconditions and all that stuff. You can go get a shot. So I'm just going to say this is just my personal thought. I got the shot. Lance got the shot. Maya got the shot. We are very. Ken, you're not technically a part of our show, but part of tonight you are.
I get my second shot tomorrow. I had to postpone it for Friday.
Very good. We're trying to get through this thing. I want people to base your decision off of the truth, not off of myths, and not because you're scared. And I know a lot of people are not doing it because of those two things. They're scared and they're using these myths to justify being scared about it. You all stop being scared. We're trying to get through this thing, and please don't give me the outliers of 7 people did die from it. Okay, they put.
Oh no! Don't get that J&J one though. Don't do them right. Don't do them like that. Don't do them like that. Do them right. Don't get that AstraZeneca mid. Don't get that. Don't get your vaccine from somebody that makes no cry shampoo. All right,
that's right. So
I'm just letting you know.
I just want people to really think about the decisions that you're making, thinking about your family. I want to spend time with my family, and that's why, a big reason into my decision. And, I've been vaccinated now. I've gotten both of my shots. I've been cleared 2 weeks after my second shot, and I'm kicking it. And, my wife has got hers, and we already looking at international travel. The problem is don't nobody want our silly ass Americans traveling into our country because we won't do what we're supposed to do. And, there's a country right now, Honduras, who doesn't have the money. They only have 58,000 shots for their entire country, and they've got 15 million people. You live in the United States of America, people. You are very blessed to be here. We bought up all the shots. It seems like we typically would. You know, if you don't want to get it, okay, fine. But I don't want to hear you complaining when you can't go travel, when they start shutting down, not letting you register your kids for school, and you can't get on the airplane, do that stuff. Don't be complaining. Now, this is the line saying you want to draw, fine. But, you know, the shots are out there. It's available in our communities in Chicago. So, you know, y'all need to put your big boy pants on and do the right thing so that we can get this thing. So that's my little editorial.
We got to turn this into the flip real quick. I haven't had a chance to go toe to toe with Spicy Jock because, you know, on Facebook, sometimes those Facebook posts, I'll be like, damn, bro, you have no compassion whatsoever.
Man. Go ahead, Katie. Go ahead, Katie.
Listen, real quick, because I'll push back on this. I won't say it's just myths with the history of how Black people, and we don't even have to use Tuskegee. We can just use pain, tolerance, and stuff like that when it comes to black people being apprehensive. But, and I think you hit the key that I've said in my house. You see the white people in the Gold Coast is getting it, right?
That's right.
That's when you saw they was getting it, and that Max Sheet seed, you also have to know where to go. So just don't go where they were sending all of us to go.
That's right.
That may be the setup. No, I'm joking. But no, you saw that they were getting it. So just using common sense in that fashion. When you saw that they were jumping in line in our own neighborhoods, coming from the suburbs to get it, you knew it probably wasn't necessarily the setup. So that's the part that I wanted to add. That again, I was supposed to get my second shot Friday, but I thought I had COVID. I actually went to take a COVID test Thursday. Because I wasn't feeling right last week. And I forgot my results back Saturday. I'm negative. So tomorrow I'll get my second shot or whatever. And it was funny because Adam Hogue on our show, he got his second shot. He wasn't feeling this up, you know, because the second one, if you haven't had it recently, you're going to feel a little bit more down because your body knows it now. But yeah, I mean, definitely, it's one of those things where I want to be strapped up out here. And I know you believe, I got to get my pistol. I know you believe in gun rights. We got to talk about that off the air too, because I'm serious about, that's a move. But yeah, you should definitely, you should do it just for you, but for your family members. I mean, like you said, I'm tired of being in the house.
That's right.
I want to get out. I want to take my kids and do some stuff and start getting back to enjoying life. Things may never get back to the normalcy, but you can help. And I don't think I like the commercials that I saw here. I was going to mention that. And I know you're doing a lot with autism. And that was dope to see that too, Jason. But yeah, I get you being apprehensive about it, but it's probably the move to make. You know what I'm saying? It's being a concern.
You got to play the percentages, man. You got to play the percentages in life, man.
I mean, like you said, a couple of things. My man Dennis Gates, that's the head coach at Cleveland State. You know, he's been doing this deal where he has doctors on, and one of the doctors actually has something to do with one of the vaccines, right? So it's different than when back then we weren't able to work on some of the stuff back then. But now we have doctors that's credible right there in front, making sure that we're well knowledgeable, about the different shots and about things, right? And she made this point, one of the doctors made this point. You should be worried about some of the stuff you eat now, because they spray stuff on food that we eat and we don't even know. So with that being said, though, as long as you have knowledge, as long as you educated to know, it's a lot of information out there too.
Yep.
So then here go my thing, Ken, and I'm be real brief. When they start going over to Roseland getting shots,
it was time to get one.
It was time to
get when they started dressing up as grandmothers to get in line to get shots, I knew what the deal was. You know, and I told everybody, you know, I live where, you know, Orange Man and his supporters are basically my neighbors. You know, so when I saw all them going, like, yeah, I'm going over there right with y'all. Now I'm
get that batch right over.
I got that
good stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm Pfizer gang too now. I'm Pfizer gang now.
I'm Pfizer for life, dog. I should.
When it got before it even popped, before I got the shot months back, when it got some of that stock.
That's right. So, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about you, Ken, because you know, you've been in the business quite a while, and you know, we've had you on the show before. We never really got to talk a little bit about you. You know, tell me a little bit about how you got into this business in sports radio, and then your podcast. Tell us a little bit about how you got into it, why you love it, and where you kind of see this business going in the future.
Just a kid from the South Side, played sports. Father actually used to tell me, hey, you know what you should do? You should be talking sports. You should be announcing something. And I remember telling him, like, hell no, I want to be talked about. I don't want to be an announcer. And it's funny, and I always think about when you learn your parent is right, you know, like you get to that point where you're always trying to show them, no, I'm right. And you, especially those years between like 17 or maybe 19 or 20 or something like that. And I remember when I got into like 20, I realized, you know, how my father was really dropping gems. I mean, I'm not to say like we had a great relationship. My father died when I was 23. We had a fantastic relationship. But it was just one of those things that if I would have gotten on it earlier when he said it, I would be further along right now. So moving along 10 years, 15 years later, my regular 9 to 5, my boy worked there at the time, Demaz. And at that time, Demaz was like, you know what? He went to a broadcasting school that folded. I believe one of his classmates was like Leon Rogers from WGCI.
Okay.
And went to it, and the school folded. And at this point, I always thought about going to the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, but it was out in Lombard, but it had come to Chicago. So I don't know if he didn't go at that point, if I would have ever went. But the impetus was him going, and I was like, I'm interested in that. He was like, you should come with me. And the thing is too, at that point, you know, he was about to have his first child. My son was 2 at that moment. We're working. We have internships. We're going to night school. And we had a lot of young people in our class. And listen, it was one of the most talented classes. Some of the stuff that some of the people are doing is great. A lot of people went on to do some other stuff. But being with a lot of young people, it took a lot of time for the class to settle down. And one, I'm a Catholic school kid, and I was a rowdy Catholic school kid, but it didn't take this long for class to settle down. You know what I'm saying? Especially I'm paying for this, or I'm going to end up paying for it. Right. So I don't want to spend. And like we had Devontae Stone, and we had Julie. We had I forgot who she works. She does. I forget her name.
Julie Cario, not Julie Cario.
Yeah, not the Cario.
Okay.
She does traffic. She used to do it for the school, but she used to work at the school or whatever.
Okay.
Right. It would just take a long time. So me and Demaz would just go into the studio and start recording and practicing and doing our thing. And we kept doing that until we got a show on the school station. And we were trash. You know, we didn't know we was trash as much, but we was trash because it take years, man. It take years. Right. I mean, I would say we was probably trash for at least 2 years. You know, not to say it wasn't entertaining.
Okay.
But to develop a routine and get the reps and interviewing people, rejoining, you know, setting things up. You know what I'm saying? Like just the amount of discipline that it takes when you're doing it or whatever. So ended up a blessing, had brothers, Demaz's cousin, who was a reporter in Wisconsin. Cal Means came back. We had Sidney Brown. He joined the show as our producers, and they really started taking it to another level. Then fortunately down the line, we had Anthony Gill, who worked at the Score and works at NBC Sports Chicago. He became our intern and ended up later on becoming a producer of the show. So we were, at first I decided me and Kyle was like, we should do something that's like Jesus and Miro in a vein that where we're cursing a little bit, but we're talking about different topics outside of sports because we didn't really have that outlet. Okay. So we started to flip, and we initially did the flip on weekdays at the school. But at this point, we started having access to the Score. So we're up at the Score. So mind you like, this is sweet, right? We're in there recording our show, one show at a time. And then what ended up happening, the school came to us, right? And they was like, yeah, we're taking your Saturday show. And it was like, damn, all right. And they was like, well, you can go out to Lombard, you can do this and this. And you know what I'm saying? When one door closes, another door opens.
Right.
So I told Tony, I said, you know what? Get us a meeting with Mitch Roseman, who runs the Score. He also runs the sports station in Wisconsin too, I believe.
Okay.
So I said, get us a meeting with Mitch. So we got a meeting with Mitch. He basically met the guys that he had allowed to be playing in his workshop for a minute. And basically set it up that he was going to give us some opportunities. So then we started recording everything at the Score. And then we had been interviewed there from different shows. Shout out to Julie DeCaro, who you mentioned. Shout out to definitely our brother Lawrence Holmes. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Danny Parkins. Would come on the flip. You know what I'm saying? Just a lot of good people. You know, shout out to producers, Shane. Like, it's a lot of cool people that, you know what I'm saying, you got these guys coming up in here. Now, I don't know if everybody was saying anything bogus behind our backs, but they was being kind in my face.
Right,
so,
right.
You know, so Mitch was like, I'm going to give y'all some shots. So we started guest hosting, and we had to do 5 hours for Les Grobstein overnight. Man, I'm telling you. That's some hard business.
Lance can barely make it through 2 hours of this show.
Dog. Listen, to be honest with you, a show should probably be about 2 hours. Right?
Yeah.
After you get 2 hours, it's time to probably go home. And you pushing it with 3. But like to do 5 and like it was, you know, and I mean some of those times we was killing. I remember now just leaving there like, man, we killing it. The times it was like, man, we got to that 4 o'clock hour and it was like, nah, you know, but we got to sit there and continue to grow. Also, like some things I'm leaving out, like Chris Sosa put us in the red eye. I think that led up to me getting on Sports Feed. Shout out to Larry Howley of WGN, who brought me on Sports Feed. And when he brought me on Sports Feed, the first thing I did was give him Demaz, because that's my man's. I'm like, you want my man's too, right? So it ended up getting some of our crew on Sports Feed, which put us out there even more, you know what I'm saying, and helped us get to these other places. And then, you know, I'm lucky enough where I just now have probably been for like 2.5 months, the host of the Under Center podcast on NBC Sports Chicago. Shout out to JJ Stankovic and Cam Ellis, who were the hosts prior to me. I was lucky enough to have JJ on my show. He works for the Coast now. Fantastic dude. Always liked his honesty and his vibes. And I ended up here. I mean, again, it's, you know, your connections connected to Tony Gill. I mean, Tony, in vain, it's funny because we are what he likes in what he likes to put out. You know what I'm saying? So when he came down there, and he came down there in his second week of school, right? You know how many people on their second week of school are looking for internships and was like, I like this show. Right, like this, I can vibe with this. So you know, just been in a certain situation where I never quit, but I had people around me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what benefited me down there. I met Sean, and also let's just say like I did a little bit of interning on Stats and Stilettos. So I met Maya, Farouk. You know what I'm saying? But just the collection of different people, and that's how I ended up here on What's Up, Cuz.
Got you.
Boy, I tell you what though, that's a lot of history and knowledge, and I'm sitting here like, dang, the score, the feed, NBC Sports, you got a lot going on, KD.
Yeah. So my co-host stepped away last year in August. He felt like he needed to get more time to his family. You know what I'm saying? Like he spent so long doing this, and I always shout out to Demaz. You know, so I mean, I wasn't going to stop, but it was like, damn. And it was funny, real quick. So we were going to go, and this is the last time we went on the score, right? And he was kind of like feeling it or whatever. And I'm like, nah, you know, we got to do this or whatever. And we're sitting there, and because of the pandemic, you know, we got to do it at home, right? Which was like, hey, we ain't got to go or whatever. And we're sitting there with Shane, and Shane leaves, and he's trying to set us up so we can dial in or whatever to get on the air. And I look at my co-host's face, and he's just drained. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, man, we'll talk about it Saturday after the show. And I was like, damn, it's over. All right. As soon as he said it like that, I was like, damn, because what you got to talk to me Saturday for, right? You can tell me right now. So he stepped away, and the show went from Dean Davis, which I named it Dean Davis. We were going to name it like Ken and Demaz is what he said at first. I was like, nah, it makes sense. Let's go Dean Davis. Also, shout out, you're going to see me Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Chicago Clubhouse. I'll be co-hosting on there.
What's up, everybody out there? Let's talk a little White Sox before we let you get out of here. We got last 10 minutes of the show. Our White Sox had a pretty good weekend series there, Lance.
Sweet.
Swept them Rangers, man.
Let me ask you the burning question. Does my man Michael Kopech, does he stay in the bullpen? Or is he a starter now?
I wouldn't rush that. I won't, because the thing is this. It's only so many innings. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things I know we had Sean had Ozzie Guillen Jr. on, and this at night. I mean, you don't even have to do this. And Jason, you know, you're a wise baseball guy. Not to say some other sports.
Who said that? Who said that? What the hell?
He's a wise space. You know, he knows his sports. And his investigative journalism. But
yeah, that man a bad man when it comes to that.
But
man,
it's still innings, because this is the thing too. See, this is the thing, Jason. You know, we talked about this last year.
Mm-hmm.
You got kids on here and you can't blow through their arms, especially when you're trying to go and contend, right? So do you want to? Oh, I won't even put it on Dusty because he doesn't get. You want a Jim Riggleman-ness and Dusty-ness? You know what I'm saying? As far as you gonna get these kids, and let's not say kids. We only have to say kids. It's only 2 kids that we really care about, to be honest with you right now. For me, let me say that I only care about Kopech and Crochet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the Dylan Cease guy. I hope he figures it out. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not the Dylan Cease. But as far as those arms that are supposed to be stretched out for the future, don't blow those arms, because that's going to be the thing that haunts your ass. And not to say that you don't have to push it further. That's going to be what haunts you, to where what happens next year, when next year was supposed to be the year that Eloy is back, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Kopech is supposed to step into the starting lineup, that perhaps you're stretching Crochet to be the 2-inning guy, right? Mm-hmm. And then you shot those bullets up because you were going for a couple of wins too early in the season with Kopech, and now Kopech is down again. Because one thing we do know right now, he can get hurt. I know it's Tommy John. I know it happens, but he can get hurt. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's if anything, go get someone, but I wouldn't ruin him. Let me put it like that. I wouldn't ruin him, because right now he's showing us that this can be real. You know what I'm saying? And one thing we do know, right, to a certain degree, I love Lucas Giolito, but do we have an ace? An ace. You know what I'm saying? Where when you say his name,
Kopech.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when you say his name, other teams are like, not him. Like we don't have we don't have that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like when his name is in, it haunts the house. We don't necessarily. We got a guy with some nice stuff that when he's on, he can be one of the better pitchers in baseball. And Lucas Giolito, you got a bull in Lance Lynn. Yeah. You got a guy that's not getting enough. That said himself that he needs to get to 100 pitches in Dallas Keuchel. You know what I'm saying? Mm. But Kopech needs to be the guy that I don't want to say kid glove it, because he needs to get out there. I'm happy that he went as far as he went. I'm not saying stretch him out a little bit, but you got to remember he didn't play last year, and the year before he had 4
years.
Right, so I'm saying 4 starts, and he came up later before he hurt his elbow. So
look at the torque on that arm, man.
That's what I was just thinking too.
Oh my God, my elbow is hurting just looking at this photo. Man.
Right, man. Don't mess him up. Right now he's back to looking like. Right now that Red Sox trade looks good again, especially if Yoan can get back to Yoan before pandemic. Mm-hmm. Yoan. That trade for that Chris Sale's trade is looking good again. So you got him how you need him now, and also you can use him in different leverage situations. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't necessarily have to pigeonhole him just into start. Even though I like that, but you can use him in different situations right now, and keep to that plan. Now, if someone gets hurt, I understand you may have to use him a little bit more, but his future is important.
Got you. Let's talk real quick. Blackhawks, are they going to make the playoffs or not? I'm hurt that they couldn't beat Nashville pretty much all season. They're currently at 3 points out with just a few games left to play. They basically almost at this point need to run the table, and they need help that Nashville is going to lose. What's your thoughts?
Should they make the playoffs? Is that what's best for them? And this is twofold.
Should they?
They're a team of young guys that you want to start being those guys that can kind of supplant the 2 big guys moving forward, especially since basically you didn't get anything out of one of them this year. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But could you sit there and make next year that year and perhaps get another tool by think about when they sat there and they were up in the hockey bubble, right? Mm-hmm. And they made it, and you were like, man, we could have been at the top of the draft, and we just missed out by this much, but and this is the thing too with this team, and due to the fact how their cap is connected to the Canadian dollar, it's not that simple to be like, man, we can just do this, we can manipulate the cap, we can move these. It's not that simple. You need free capital, and when I'm free capital, I mean you need a high draft player to come in here and to start being the next guy, especially on a cheap deal initially. So To be honest with you, it doesn't seem likely, Jay, that they will make the playoffs. But as Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible. But I would say, me right now, I don't think these young players are to the level where I'm like, you know what, it'll hinder them if this year they didn't make the playoffs. You do get to a point where you do not need to keep bringing in young players, and you need to take the young players you have to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think sometimes we get caught up in amassing talent. But you need, if you have a well enough talent, you need to take them to the next level, because even if those guys aren't necessarily stars, they may be good enough pros where you could take 2 or 3 of them and go get you that star. But I don't think right now the Hawks are right there. I think this should be a year where get you a draft pick, and next year be the year where you take these kids into the playoffs and you kind of see if Jeremy Cullerton is that guy when it's really on the line.
Gotcha. Well, there he is, folks. That's our good friend Ken Davis. He joined us today and stayed with us for a whole hour. Ken, we really appreciate it. We'll be really interested to see what the Bears do, because none of us know. So
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Thursday night is going to be very interesting.
Well, let me ask you this. That's what makes it fun, though, right? Having the first round pick, not knowing what's going to happen, but at least we have the opportunity. Like, we have something to dream for before Ryan Pace slams the door in our damn face.
He's Kenneth Davis, everybody. Thanks a lot, Ken. We appreciate it.
JD.
Stay up, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Cuz we're coming to the end of the show here. Got a couple more minutes as the sun is setting here in southeastern Wisconsin. It's a beautiful night out here, man. Maybe I'll sleep out on the deck tonight.
You out there big balling. You outside. I haven't heard a shot being fired called yet. Haven't heard an ambulance. Where you live? What's your zip code?
Actually, it was some shotgun shots going off because the range is like right down the street, but you may not have heard it. But yeah, it's nice out here. I love Chicago. I love Wisconsin. I love both of them. They both have benefits. So
exactly.
But, I'm always be a Chicago kid who pulls for the Dolphins as well. So what can I say? But anyway, so next week we've got Walter Bond coming up. So tell me a little bit about Walter and tell the viewers what we can expect from Mr. Bond when he comes and joins us on What's Up Cuz next week.
One thing about Walt, he's a good person, but Walt went to Whitney Young, then he finished up at Collins High School. So Walt played football, he played basketball, he played baseball too. He ended up playing in the NBA for the Utah Jazz. So he played for a couple of years. Then he found his passion, which is being a motivational speaker. So he's one of the top motivational speakers in the world. So with that being said, he's still in sports. He does the NBA rookie deal that they have. Where
the symposium thing.
Yes,
right.
Symposium. So he does that. Walter's on the board of like different agencies, different things. He's a good person to know. But he also is good at helping people tell their stories. So we're happy to have him on next week. I'm waiting for him to confirm, but he said he should be able to do it. So with that being said, we expect Walt next week. But he's a great person, great motivational speaker, and he's one of our own, Chicago's own.
Yes, he is. So we're looking forward to having Walter join us next week. We're also looking in the coming weeks to have guests like E.C. Hill. We're looking to get Candace Parker on the show, the Chicago Sky. Their first game is actually May the 15th. We had a great relationship with the Sky last year, and we're continuing that this year. We're trying to get something to work with Lance and Coach James over there. We're working on something here at SportsZone Chicago, so that'll be good too. But everybody just stay tuned here in the next few weeks. The show is back up, and Maya is out for the next 2 weeks. We just want to say good luck to our sister. She is studying for something very important to try to get her license for, so she needed a little bit of study time and away from our crazy asses. So we said, okay, Maya,
I miss old Maya.
We missed old Maya. So, I was going to talk about Dane Dunning getting lit up, but, she's not here to defend herself, so I'll wait because I don't feel
you nicer than I am. I talk about it when she's here and when she's not here.
Well, Maya will be back with us in a couple of weeks, and we got our intern Greg. He's progressing as well. He's going to help us produce the show. And special thanks to Ivan. Ivan, you can jump on real quick. Lance and I just wanted to tell you thank you for producing tonight's show. We kind of threw you in the fire. You asked us the wrong jump ball question, but that's okay.
And he sucked. He jumped on your side too.
I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute. And then we're going into it. And I'm like, oh damn. Well, Here we go.
That's all right.
bailed them out. I bailed you out.
I'll fix it up. I'll have it right next.
That's all right, man. Because the Kenneth Davis new intro was worth it, so we'll take that any day.
That was fire.
So on behalf of my cousin Lance Irvin, I am Jason Palmer. Remember, go after the shots are available. Let's get through this COVID vaccine thing. Let's also continue our social justice initiatives. And everybody in America, let's just be kind to one another. Everybody relax a little bit. We cannot keep doing this at this pace. We're going to destroy ourselves. So try to get along with everybody. Be nice to your neighbor. And we'll see you all next week on What's Up, Cuz. Peace out.